Hi Gemini! Sitting down to do your 2024 year ahead reading, always such a pleasure to do these. What I have done is pulled a different card for each month of 2024. We'll flesh it out with another deck. We'll pull another card for each month just to go deeper with these messages, and as well as that, that allows me to see if there are duplicate cards, if there's any themes being tied together month by month. But before we get into January 2024 with this very successful, refined, very beautiful and luxurious, accomplished Nine of Pentacles, I want to just take a bit of a bird's eye view here for a second. The number 9 is so important in your year ahead. You've got the Nine of Pentacles, you've got the Nine of Cups, you've got the Nine of Wands. You in fact have the Moon card. It is 18, but if we break that down, 1 plus 8, we're getting a 9. We might also see the Hermit card come through when we shuffle some more or more 9s. I wouldn't be surprised as we do our clarifying round. Now, what would I say about that? Well, obviously month by month it's all very varied and there's lots of different things coming up here. But if we were to just look at the bigger picture for a moment, we would see that because 9 correlates to a reflection, it's almost like we're nearly in the final stages, which is the 10, which is manifestation. So we're kind of at this stage in 2024 where a lot of loose ends are being tied up. At the same time, we're also kind of exterminating or getting rid of absolutely anything that's not crucial for the final stage, the final act. So there's emotionally, this year is a little bit about building up excitement for what's to come, but also this kind of feeling of tying up loose ends or things drawing to a close. Maybe it's one obvious chapter in your life or cycle, or maybe, like this reading is suggesting, at various points in the year you're going to know where this is wrapping up. You're starting to see the finish line in many areas of your life. Spiritually, 9 is the number of the final stages of a spiritual cycle. So you are advancing on your spiritual path so far at this point that the year of 2024 is very much like the final stages of this spiritual advancement and spiritual journey that you have been on. And that's a never-ending cycle, of course, and we can only hope for that. But there is something really culminative about 2024 for you. And it's like we're watching a play and we kind of know when the play is going to end, but we can kind of get a tone that like the characters' lives are kind of all coming together, things are falling into place, people are re-meeting and storylines are just getting wrapped up. That's kind of the phase for 2024 for you. Will it be that 2025 is the manifestation of all of this, or will you see manifestation at various times during the year? I think probably. And then perhaps 2025, just speculating, might be that year of like a lot more like fresh new beginning. Everything is changing and there are clear chapters in your life that are new and emerging. Whereas this year, although there are going to be beginnings, of course, this is more about a end of a cycle, overall, bigger sort of picture. So let's look at the Nine of Pentacles. So of course we're seeing a very beautiful woman here. So this card is Venusian in nature and it speaks to beauty, refinement, elegance and luxury. Materially, it speaks to a lot of advancement financially, being in a very good place. There's something about it that is independent, so this would tell me that this is something that is less collaborative for you in January, but it brings about huge financial benefits. And if they're not just financial benefits, the benefits that you see, because overall the Nine of Pentacles is really a very blessed energy. You're seeing them in terms of your self-esteem, your self-worth. You're very proud of yourself. It's very much pat on the back. A little bit more mundanely, you might just find yourself shopping more in January, investing in luxury goods and services, or investing in something that is a bit more pricey. The thing is, though, you can afford to do so, and emotionally, psychologically, you know that you are worthy of receiving this. The Sun card, very beautiful. So for some of you, it may be something that, like, this is a trip or a destination, or you are feeling like very liberated with the Sun card, very happy to be doing what you're doing. The yellow in these cards is just a very optimistic start to the year for me, for you to see this. It's like there is a lot of joy, there is a lot of feeling like an overall sense of well-being. A lot of it is derived from like your material possessions, and which sounds contradictory to this kind of like end of a spiritual cycle you're on, but there is nothing like having pride and investing well and considering yourself worthy are massive spiritual stages of advancement as well. And you feeling more than safe and secure actually really is a very positive springboard for you into the next stages of your spiritual advancement and things like that. So the star card at the bottom of the deck here with this luminary of the sun is really just telling me that the light is shining on you in January. There is a lot of healing to be done, a lot of joy to be shared, and you're really at the center of it all. And it's like very much being created for you, by you. Like this is a very independent card, and it's a very much like, look what I've done, I'm so proud of myself, look what I have to show for it. Like I said, if there is anybody who's a business owner or self-employed, you're very much like, look at the strides I've made, and look at, like, it's so tangible. But if you're in a job where it is more collaborative overall, or in any way, you might be getting a raise, a bonus, or there is something coming through for you that is really good financially. And just this garden energy, the Sun card and the Nine of Pentacles, that speaks to like leisure and free time and enjoyment as well. Okay, let's have a look at the month of February. So we're seeing our... Okay, so I have two reversals here, and one of them is coming up in the month of February. It's the Ace of Cups in reverse. So the Ace of Cups in reverse is suggesting that you will know which relationship of yours this is talking about, I think, in the month of February. Something has been a little dicey. You may already know that now upon watching this video, but it seems to me that by February you're going to kind of know what's not working for you in terms of a connection. Where you're not really feeling satisfied anymore in that relationship. Overall, the Ace of Cups in reverse is a disconnect. It is a disconnect emotionally, and it is not necessarily saying there's like a breakup or a, not a breakup even, or just like a kind of quite obvious like we are no longer friends, or I never want to speak to you again. It doesn't have to be like that, but cool, you couldn't make this up. The Ace of Cups upright. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be a clean cut break. In fact, this Ace of Cups upright coming through to complement here. That's why I love pulling from two decks. This, and I just love this card in this particular deck. Like, let's have a look at how gorgeous that is. It doesn't necessarily mean that this is over, that this is done, but the disconnect in February with somebody very important to you clearly. I think that doubling down of the Ace of Cups is really speaking to how important this is to you, and it shouldn't be ignored. That's it. Don't ignore this. If there is a possibility for you to come back together in full connection with this person, if it's not the exact same as it was before, that's okay. You're allowing for a rebirth of the connection to occur. This is not something that you want to just say, okay, forget it, I never want to see you again, I never want to speak to you again. We're experiencing a disconnect. Let's talk about it. Let's be curious and open-minded. Let's not dismiss each other's feelings, and let's see where we can come back together to cultivate love and growth and friendship, or romantic love or familial love. This Ace of Cups upright is emerging to tell me that there is a possibility for this connection to be strengthened. So don't worry about that necessarily, but be aware that yes, maybe there will be a disconnect. But I don't think that emotionally you're going to be affected by this for too long, because the Nine of Cups is emerging as a very blessed energy in the month of March. It is another 9, so we know that we're talking here about another step in this kind of like overall plot of 2024 being about like loose ends being tied up and a period of reflection and seeing how far you've come. So perhaps the emotional issue of disconnect and reconnection, and just the theme about like your love, your heart, your connections in February, as they seem to probably get resolved to whatever feels in highest and best for you, Gemini. That really feels like a blessing come March. Okay, so the Hierophant. For some of you, in terms of relationships, there is something being made quite more serious in the month of March. Sometimes a ritual or ceremony can be involved with the Hierophant, and that can look like the ritual of moving in, the ritual of turning a key in the door. We see some keys down here. Of course, the ritual of marriage can come up as well. The Hierophant, though, is also speaking to basically a new kind of step on your spiritual cycle. You know, this is somebody who really does like to tap into spiritual wisdom and embody certain principles, I think. It isn't, this is what comes up in April. This High Priestess energy is an entirely different kind of spiritual, more intuitive, psychic and transcendental experience of the High Priestess. The Hierophant energy coming up in March is like a little bit more about you studying something or like reading and kind of like applying your own wisdom, but it's derived from like a human teacher, or like a, I don't know, even nature itself is teaching you more and more. Yeah, okay. And then in April there's like something more that is like a more metaphysical experience that you can't really fully explain. Okay, so the Hierophant and the Nine of Cups. Any commitment that you're looking for from another person, anything that you want to be proved to you. It's not to say you're setting tests for people, but if you were, you have a desire in March, and it's almost like, because this 9 energy is like, this is the final, I don't necessarily want to use the word test. This is the final stage in where we're going with this, you might be thinking. So there is this kind of like, now is the time in your mind in March for this person, this group, this employer, this circumstance, this event, this desire that you have to be met, and the commitment must be shown, the devotion must be shown for you to feel satisfied. That's what I feel like this is all about. Other than that, I feel like there's a great sense of well-being in your physical body in March, and like just your overall sense of like, yeah, it's a great, beautiful start to the year. You have a little bit like January is a very optimistic start. March is very solid and happy and joyful. There is a, you know, realization that has to occur in February, but it seems like with that Ace of Cups coming up upright, that's all handled really well. As the end of March rolls in on the 25th, there is an eclipse in the sign of Libra, so you're going to be looking at your Libra house to figure out what is going on there. And what it will be is a lunar eclipse full moon in the sign of Libra, so you might notice a more definite chapter coming to a close, you know, depending on how marked that is in your own chart, of course. So let's look at what your intuition is really leading you towards in the month of April. As I said, that it was 13 minutes and 13 seconds on the recording time. So for me now, what I'm seeing here is that there's a very important message from your intuition coming through in April. Okay, the Four of Swords. Okay, so the Four of Swords is telling me that there is potentially agents of change in your external world in April. People are coming in, strong and powerful forces, not oppressive forces, strong and powerful, formidable forces are noticeable by you from where you sit or where you lay. These people are very relaxed. The High Priestess is just taking a sit back, watching, observing. The Four of Swords is straight up chilling and relaxing here. But beyond your kind of central pillar, right, there seems to be a lot going on. There is another eclipse in April, so I mean that goes without saying that things, I think it's around the 8th, yeah, but it's happening in Aries, and it's a lot more of like a new beginning, and it's actually packing a lot of punch, this eclipse, but it's very healing. It's conjunct the asteroid Chiron, or dwarf planet I should say, whatever it is. And there's a lot going on, and for me, April for you is basically telling me here to chill, to stay in your lane, to focus on your inner world. You're having great spiritual breakthroughs, very psychic and intuitive downloads. This would be a great month for any metaphysical practices, astral traveling, dream work, breath work, astrology, even tapping into your own psychic abilities and things like that, and basically connecting to the other planes that are and dimensions that are available here through channels that you are tapping into. And this is a really, you know, some of you are going to need a rest, that's for sure. Some of you also, I'm getting a message that you have to keep something quiet, and secrets aren't always bad, so just weigh up how this secret weighs on you. But there are times when it is important to keep information withheld, and I think that April you might be asked to withhold information or to keep quiet on something, and decide if that's right for you or not. It will be or it won't be, depending. And the other thing about that is like you also could be asking somebody, can you keep this hush? I'm not ready to talk about this. There is something about a very secretive, quiet, but not devious energy with secretiveness. There's just something hush hush and kind of internal. It's a deeply internal month for you. This wouldn't really, and that's why it's amplified by all these like powerful forces externally. So yeah, okay, so we've got January, February, March, April. Okay, May, we're seeing the Knight of Swords, which is your court card, mutable air. So this just tells me that in May you are, of course, like away on a hack on something. You're springing into action, you're really busy, you're highly motivated, you have a strong sense of direction and purpose, and there's a lot of like, I'm seeing like gusts of wind behind you. So it is your season, of course, Gemini. And on May 26th, the greater benefic Jupiter will move into your sign, Gemini. So from May 26th until the entire rest of the year, into the first half of next year, actually, you have this benefic Jupiter in your home sign. So whatever planets you have in Gemini, maybe it's a sun, maybe Venus, maybe rising, everything that's there in Gemini, eventually Jupiter will catch up to that planet where you have it natally and expand and bless and create opportunity around that. And this will be in the Gemini house in your chart, but also where are that house aspecting. All of these things will be touched in a positive way by Jupiter. So let's see, the Knight of Swords just tells me that you are really something is in your eye line here. I mean, the Knight of Swords in this deck always looks a little bit triggered or like urgent and like I need to do it. So you might have a real sense of like urgency, but overall it seems like motivation to me, and it just seems like May is a very busy month for you. Aha. Yeah, okay, so another powerful person, the King of Rods. We'll talk about that. But I was speaking about the Hermit card. That coming through at the end, at the bottom of the deck rather, the number 9 of the major arcana. So the Hermit at this point, okay, so we're closing out the first half of the year. To me, there's a suggestion now that at this point, June into the Hermit card, into July with the Moon card, when we talked about those 9s coming through. And then we've got the 9 of the Hermit. Yeah, it's just all 9 energy. So for me, this is like quite a obvious point that you could check in to see from January what loose ends have been tied up, where you have basically reflected on your journey to sort of really point out to yourself and identify your strengths, your weaknesses, what you need to bring forward with you into the manifestation of the final act of this chapter in your life, and what now needs to go. So this is really a point of reflection and check-in. What's happening on the surface is that the powerful or formidable, not necessarily formidable, but the strong forces that were appearing to you in the month of April, when you were very much reserved and waiting and basically observing and peeping what was going on, they come into the fore for you in May. But you get to kind of choose who you want to work with. You get to choose who you work for, or who you engage with, or who you collaborate with, who you partner up with. You really get to choose who the people that you surround yourself with, and they're gonna be strong, but they're gonna be right for you. So you are also really leveling up to this King of Wands, King of Rods energy, which makes you feel really powerful. So you have learned from watching in April about how to step into your full power further and further in the month of May. And yeah, it's a really great time. You might be dealing with fellow Geminis. You might also be dealing with Leos or Virgos. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at July. So we're starting let me see, January, February, March, April, May, June. Sorry, June. So now we're with the Moon card energy. Okay, the second half of the year is very strong in terms of, yeah, basically it's strong in terms of what you're doing, where you're very motivated and things like that. Very healthy, very inspired, and things are really moving. There's a real momentum, which begins, I think, in the month of May. This real momentum, this wind behind you, this kind of fire, and this visibility and popularity, and like your reputation is kind of increasing and things like that. There is this test, and I will use the word test here in the Moon card energy, which is coming up for me in June, where you, like any year that we have a 9 cycle that I'm talking about, there are those kind of like spiritual questions, like what am I doing here? Why am I here? What's happening? What is this all for? That's all like very, very normal. Yeah, the 8 of Swords in reverse with the Moon card. So before the push through to the second half of the year, which has things like the Chariot card, victory, success, the Strength card, ability, health, vitality, the 9 of Wands, like a kind of real sense of like really pushing through and forward with something. And there is this like kind of soul test that comes through for you in the month of June, where some insecurities, and I think that this might be the kind of most difficult month of the year, and so far I'm seeing that just kind of like being a time where like your fears, your insecurities, your vulnerabilities, and some of your wounds are pointed out to you or triggered, or you just notice them. But there is a blessing to that too, because it gives you this time to fortify yourself. Like I said, the 9 year that you're having, it is about identifying what your strengths are, sure, and you're really going to know about what those are in October. However, you do need to address what your weaknesses are, and we're only human. We also might be invited as the sign of Gemini or Gemini placements to kind of delve into our unconscious mind. The 9s in tarot do speak a little bit about that unconscious realm as well of our psyche, where it's kind of a time when we're in a 9 phase of our life to shine a light in the dark, which is the Moon card, on what's hidden, what's been lurking, and what we're ready to like fortify and purify and release, so that we can be honest with ourselves. This is a real month of the year in June where you have to be honest with yourself and kind of admit to yourself where you have been holding yourself back, where you have been holding yourself even prisoner, and where you have been, yeah, selling yourself short, giving away your power. And that could be why those really powerful sort of people come into your world. I think they present themselves in April, but you're not ready to engage with them yet, or you're not ready to bring them really in. But in the month of May you are, and I think that that's why you're seeing people that are aspirational, powerful, interesting, smart, have a great sense of direction and hustle. They are really well reputed because you are seeing a reflection of yourself in them, Gemini. You're seeing what you have been hiding away from within yourself, and in May you seem more likely to kind of like sort of say, right, why are these people showing up? It must be because they're matching my frequency. And then the classic imposter syndrome comes in when the brain is about to take this big leap into the unknown and do something that's going to be greater than it's done before. There's this like moon card spiral, like what the fuck, this is all gonna go wrong, and the Eight of Swords in reverse is all my fears and insecurities from all the years of conditioning or past life or childhood, whatever, coming through, and just push on through. That's what the message is for the month of June. Let's look at July. We're looking at travel coming up in July, and the Page of Wands is about seeing new places, even if you don't have to jump on a plane to do this, seeing new places in your neighborhood, exploring, of course exploring the world could come through, exploring ideas. You are feeling like after facing that kind of dark night of the soul in June, you're feeling very refreshed, I think, and that actually a lot of like insight has come through for you, and you feel like sharing it, you feel like talking, you feel like getting yourself back out there. Okay, let's look at the Page of Wands. More interesting people, but they're a little bit more fun. So you're with fun people, you're with people you just have a good fun laugh with, giggle with. King of Pentacles, however, they're not just there for a good time. They might actually be people that are there for a long time for you too. The Page of Wands are people that you are just vibing with coming through, and you're really enjoying yourself in the month of July. They inspire you and you kind of learn something from them, but they're also people that you could include in your sort of soul tribe in a more permanent way. Everybody who comes through this, especially kind of in the May, June, maybe May and July time for you, the kings, like, you don't have queen energy this year. It's very much king. It's very much like, which doesn't surprise me, because you are ready to mature and kind of grow into a more we're always changing, you know, our essence is always changing. Our principles, maybe not so much, our values, not so much, but they definitely can, and that's good. And especially you're so mutable, Gemini. I'd imagine you are you're flexible and adaptive in that way, which is great. But there is something about this year where you're really truly getting to know your strengths. Like I said, the kings are very strong, but they're very masterful, and they're very seasoned, and like they know who they are. So the people that come into your life in the summer are here to really help you see yourself in them, even if on the surface they just look like they're breezing in and out of your life, or they're just here to have fun with you. They actually are really teaching you an important and valuable lesson in the best way on your journey. Okay, so you could be then dealing with more fire signs, or even a Taurus then, as that emerges for you in July. Travel and money are also two really thumbs up and bountiful, abundant features of your month of July. Travel, money, loans, inspiration, fun things like that. Okay, so August, we're looking at another major arcana card, the Chariot. So the Chariot is really at its most base level, willpower, determination, and that bringing you to victory. So it's a successful card, it's a successful omen. Let's flesh that out a little bit. The Fool card, great. So this is a major month for you, the month of August, in terms of new beginnings, fresh breath of air on your journey. So you've been going with a target this year, okay, maybe many, but you have had like an overall objective, or something personal, or something professional, or something spiritual, an achievement that you are desiring to progress with. And in the month of August, a breath of fresh air gets injected into the journey that you're already on. To me, this doesn't necessarily look like a brand new start, because the Fool card quite often is, it's zero, so it really is just like the beginning of a journey. I also see travel coming up here, road trips, cross country, train rides, bus rides. I'm seeing like packing up a bag and having this like kind of like yeah, like the world is my oyster kind of a feeling. So I do see that you're having success with your goals, but then that there is something about it that is subject to change, or something that happens in a more perhaps surprising way that injects like this overall tone of now optimism into your journey and optimism into your goals in the month of August. Something comes in to really like lighten your load, make it more advantageous, and just kind of like could set you off in a slightly new direction, or it could set you off on a detour, but it's so that you'll maybe go in a direction that you wouldn't have taken or you wouldn't have predicted you to take. Is Fool card can be unpredictable, but it gets you to where you need to be at the time. In the month of September, we have the Ten of Swords. I like to see that it is in reverse. We do have an eclipse in September on the 17th in the sign of Pisces. So that means that Pisces eclipses, we haven't had them in a while. We haven't had an eclipse in Pisces in like roughly a decade. So this is an area of your chart, the Pisces part, that is starting to kind of emerge in a new way. It's a solar eclipse, new moon. So here we have it, the Magician card. A new area of life is beginning to be lit up for you in the month of September. This is not something that you're going to be familiar with from the short term, although it could herald back to a storyline that was going on through the last Pisces eclipses all that time ago. However, there is something, because the Ten of Swords, I like that it's in reverse. It's really, we're done with something. Like we have reached a critical turning point. We've either reached the breakthrough on something, or we're just like breakdown. No, this is over. Okay, that's what the Ten of Swords feels like, but it's very cathartic and it's very like relieving, especially in the reversal, because you're like, okay, this is done. You might feel defeated, or you might feel very relieved. The Magician card then, number 1, breaking through. We have 0, the Fool, 1, the Magician. Okay, so that's linked for me, right? So because you accept defeat, surrender, because you accept that this is finally out of your system, or you get to free yourself from it, because you accept that the critical turning point is here for you in September, and that likely it's going to be wrapped up or finalized or setting you free essentially. You get a glimmer into that in August, because something is, with endings and beginnings, they're all kind of the same essence, I find. So something is creeping into your world, and I like that in August, you know, you don't have to make the ending to get the beginning. Sometimes it has to kind of, I find that when you close a chapter or when you quit a job, then you get the new job. But the nice thing about August is that the what's possible, the kind of like carrot being dangled in front of you, or the emergence of something new, occurs in August. It could actually help you have the confidence to navigate away, or to finally shut the door on what is actually very draining for you and really difficult at certain times, or has been. And then you're like, okay, well I have this, or this is promising, or this is where I'll go next. So now I have more strength and courage, and like that's a positive for me. The other thing is then, because you've already sort of started to see a rerouting or a new beginning or breath of fresh air come into your journey in August on something that you do really care about and want success with, the Magician card coming through in September is just like, okay, so this is how we would start, this is how it would get going, these are the actions you need to take, these are the tools you have. So the Magician card is highly skilled, and they are really confident, and so is the Chariot card, and so is the Fool card, because they're they're taking, you know, advantageous risks, and they are throwing a little caution to the wind. But this is again the 9 year for you. It is a time to reflect on your strengths and see what you have cultivated and what really is something that you can fall back on, always rely on. You do have strengths. Check out where your South Node is in your chart even, you know, that will give you an indication as to the gifts you're bringing into in this lifetime. Strength. Here we have the Strength card in the month of October, and we're getting to the final quarter of the year. So it's nice to see the Strength card, of course, after the Ten of Swords in reverse. It is, because, you know, we've really proven ourselves to ourselves. We've really felt like we can kind of overcome anything. Now, I know there's a lot to be said for a soft era, right? Where things are gentle, and you get that at the beginning of the year, you really do. And it's not to say that things can't be gentle, but I don't think you want them to be. The final 3 months of 2024 for you are giving it your all. This is the last mile of the marathon, and you're on track to surpass all of your own expectations. The Queen of Swords in reverse. Okay. I stand by what I said. You have the 8 and 9 of Wands coming after this in November and December. The Strength card coming after the 10 of Swords makes a lot of sense. The Queen of Swords in reverse. Somebody is really testing you though in the month of October. This is a presence that has this real like hater vibe, quite shady, quite mean girl, mean guy. I'm saying girl because this is quite a feminine energy, but with the Strength card there's this dominance and there's this wounded feminine who needs to over dominate or control or manipulate. It's a lack of trust, and it's actually like there's a fear in this person, and you have to face them. And I think that on a deeper level that allows you to face something wounded within yourself. Whereas I think like January, February, March, April, you're very in your yin expression of trust, receiving, and you're like your beauty is amplified and your blessings are amplified, and you're feeling very much in a flow state. There is somebody here on your journey that really tries to overpower you at this point, Gemini, and I'm gonna say you might be dealing with a nasty person, so keep your wits about you in the month of October. I think because the Strength card comes through first, it's like you'll know how to handle this, and you won't give your power away to this person, but it could be a teachable moment, you know. Yeah, they're a hater. They are a hater. Let's look at the 8 and 9 of Wands together, because November and December are a linked couple of months where what's going on in November is also the theme of December, and it's 8 to the 9 of Wands. We are on our merry way to the finish line, and it's all moving now for you. Everything is synchronizing just perfectly by the end of the year, and it just makes a lot of sense. You're like, now it's all tying together. Great. Okay, we have the 6 of Wands, victory, and the 3 of Cups. Emotional support and celebration. Great. Okay, the King of Swords at the bottom of the deck. I think that that's the remedy to the Queen of Swords in reverse, the wounded feminine. If something is, this could be then you deciding to step more into your healthy masculine energy of like being assertive, having strong boundaries, keeping a kind of like rationale about what's happening, not getting too entangled, and also kind of being able to advocate for yourself or for the underdog and step into your leadership qualities, and using your, again, just like being decisive and affirmative and strong in your boundaries. That's the remedy, I think. Okay, so 8 of Wands and 6 of Wands. November is one of those months where you have the Midas touch and everything is just going like you're kind of like, pinch me. Is this really happening? It's happening so quickly. I'm being recognized. I'm being applauded. Like this is the victory lap now, and we're just kind of like I said, final stages of the marathon. Everyone's cheering. Keep going, Gemini. Yes. Like that's what I'm picking up on, and everything is just out of your hands now in a sense. All you have to do is keep it up, keep your focus, keep persevering. But at this point, the universe is looking after it for you, or there is, the 8 of Wands is just like everything is out there. It's all flowing now. It's all happening. So it's just a nice time for you to, I'm not saying rest on your laurels at all, or I'm not saying give up now. If, as a matter of fact, just keep doing what you're doing, but the victory is already established. If I may be so bold, that's how I feel. But it is a bold, brave, courageous month for you in November, where you really are applauded, and as you should be. And then you get to enjoy yourself in December. You get to really toast to your achievements, and you kind of, it's like this is where the sweet part of the 9s come in. 9 of Wands, we end December with the kind of like final stretch. Because I said like this year will look like, in a like zoomed out, it's like, okay, so the emotions are bittersweet, because you know I'm growing out of phases. You've grown a lot and you're outgrowing, but at the same time there's this like building, and I really think the excitement is building in November for you. There's this building excitement about, well, what's laying beyond this, you know, and that's really cool. And then I think that the real like emotional high comes in December. I mean, there's an emotional highs for sure. The emotional highs, well, I'll do a little recap after, just very briefly, but the Three of Cups is, you know, about this like, okay, everyone who, the hater of October is in the back seat now, and the people who love you and applaud you, and your loved ones and your soul family, your biological family, whoever it is, they are just like right back there behind you, cheering you on. So I love that. And parties, festivities, all the rest. Okay, emotional highs, January, February, March, emotional highs. And you know, February, you know, you're back and forth with that. Very private and spiritual and observant month in April. People emerging in May, which are necessary for you to see yourself in them, because you're stepping into a leadership role. King energy. We haven't had queens in this reading apart from the Queen of Swords, the wounded feminine, but that's not you. And whether you're man or woman, feminine energy, the yin energy. Yeah, June is a little dicey. It's shisty, it's scary, not terrifying. It's fear. It's about vulnerabilities and fears. The shadow. Come on, it's okay. July, fun people here to stay, money, travel, good. And then, yeah, you're like, then it's like, let's get down to business in August. It's like a new element comes into your journey, and it helps you leave things behind. It helps you change, reroute, but it also is here to improve the situation and give you motivation. And yeah, you're feeling very strong and established. You overcome a lot, but this character appears or has just really shown themselves or their true colors in October. Eclipse in October, the final, I should have said that. This is a Libra energy. It does not mean that this is a Libra person, but they could embody the shadow element of Libra. The final eclipse in October is in the sign of Libra on the 2nd, and it's a South Node eclipse. So the South Node is what we're shedding in the collective. The shadow of Libra is dishonesty. It's people pleasing. It's kind of like preferring to uphold like social niceties and politeness that are not embodied in genuine kindness or truth or integrity. And it's fake. It's the fake bullshit that people do, and that's a person, you're seeing that in somebody in a big way. And then, you know, like I said, November, December is a very exciting time in your life. So Gemini, that brings us to a close. Please consider liking this video, and all my love to you in this year ahead. Let me know if this resonates at any point in 2024, and thank you for watching.